In this video, I'm gonna be helping a young lady that has a horse with a severe bucking issue. Let's get into it. Kalea and Emily and I just flew across the country because I got an email from you and a video of your horse bucking very hard with you getting on him. And could you just talk us through like why you decided to reach out to me and ask for help with your horse?
Well, I've seen a lot of your videos and I really trust your methods and what you've done.
Thank you.
I don't know, I feel like you're kind of one of the only people that I know that I've seen that can actually give him some help in a very like calm but presentable way, instead of just like, I don't know, beating him or like getting on him about like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. That's exactly what I try to do. But what are some of the challenges that you're running into with him?
He won't really, it's kind of a chore to get him to like move forward, like at the trot, at the canter, definitely. And sometimes he'll have weeks where he's really, really good and he won't have an issue, and then I give him the day off and he like just like forgets everything, or like really doesn't want to move forward on the lunge line. And then if I try to get on him, he'll like either buck immediately when I get on, or like walk forward and then just randomly stop. And if I add pressure, he'll just keep bucking until I'm on the ground.
So you've come off him a few times?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
How many times would you say?
Oh God. I don't know. Probably around like 7 or 8.
Oh wow.
Maybe.
What happens if this doesn't work this next couple days while you got me out here?
I don't know. I'll probably either put him down because he's not safe.
You know, I get messages daily from people around the country that would like me to help them with their horse, but there's certain special cases that I'm like, yeah, I got to make an effort to get out there. And I could just see by the effort she was putting in and what she was saying in her email that she really was wanting some help, and I feel like I can help you. And so I'm excited to be here. So a lot of times when I'm helping somebody with a horse that has some pretty severe issues, I like to see the owner working with the horse because I want to know what were they doing, what's the horse's response, and kind of who started it. Now, in this case, what I observed from her is that she was really good with her horse. She was really gentle, really quiet with him, but she was very tolerant. This horse had a lot of negative behaviors, everything from kind of pinning its ears when you go to pet him, to being difficult to catch, or pinning his ears when he's being caught, difficult to lead. She was even worried about leading him around the left side of the arena. And so there's a lot of things to unpack in this video, and seeing her work with the horse gives me a lot of insights on what's been going on. All right, so I want to talk about the equipment a little bit. So I'm going to have you change a couple things in the gear that you're using. So let's start off with the halter and the chain. So you have more control with that than you do with just the regular nylon web halter. Mm-hmm. But the reason that the nylon halter doesn't have a lot of control is because it's thick. Yeah. And so it's easy for the horse to lean on it. So that's where people end up going with a chain. What I don't like about the chain is it can be a little too much pressure. It has a little too much bite on the nose. Like even right now when he's not being bad, it's still kind of pushing in on his nose pretty hard. It doesn't release very well. Yeah. Get a little bit righteous about I would never use a chain on a horse. If the horse is out of control and trying to kick you to get from point A to point B, and a person can lead the horse safely to the arena with the chain on, I'm sorry, but I'm going to choose the person's safety over the horse's comfort at that moment. And as soon as I can and get proactive and switch to a rope halter, that's what I would choose to go with. So reactive would be using the chain. It's like he's being bad, so we need something to control. And proactive is like we're going to start off where we're giving him some things to do while things are going well. And the rope halter is just, you can feel how soft that is. And like just hold your hand. I'm going to pull on it here. So is that painful or hurt in any way? No. But it's a little harder to lean on than say if I hand you the lead rope here. It's like, well, which one can you pull against more? This one, yeah, because it's thicker, right? Yeah. So because this is thinner, he's not going to want to lean on it as much. Which brings me to my next point. This was the Hackamore. We just did a little trip to the tack room that she was riding him in. So we're gonna get you fixed up with a different head stall. But to start off with, I would not ride him in this. Again, going back to the video where we saw what happens if she gets on him. He didn't do it fast. Like, it wasn't like a really reactive buck, but he was a very committed buck. Like, it was for real. And with this, it's so thick, he could lean on this with all of his strength, and you would have no chance of getting him to stop or be bent down. So from a safety standpoint, I'm recommending to her that we're going to try to ride him in a snaffle bit once we get him more cooperative on the ground and seeing the human as the leader. I would say he's at, like, maybe right now on the ground, what I'm seeing is probably a -2, -3. In the saddle, probably a -6. With how committed he was to bucking. We're going to take where he's at, and we're just going to ask him to get a little bit better, 1% better. If you get 1% better every day for 100 days, you're 100% better. So that's going to be the idea that we're taking on here. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to take him over and we'll start doing some groundwork. All right, let's get into it. Now, from what I was seeing both in the riding video and what we saw with some of the groundwork today, can I hand you this again? Like the word you described was he's kind of non-assuming, you know, he's kind of just stands here if you don't do anything. But as soon as you start asking him to do something, he says no, or he takes over or says buck you when you're sitting on him. And so, and your main goal is to be able to ride him. You're not trying to become an expert of show off ground maneuvers with him. And so we're going to be using groundwork here to prepare him to ride. But the main thing that we need to first switch, I'm going to give you an analogy first. Let's say you have a horse that won't get into a trailer, okay? So it won't trailer load, so you call me to come help you get your horse in a trailer because you got to go to the show. And we get from, you know, you get 20 feet away from the trailer and the horse starts balking, stopping. Well, at that point, you don't have a trailer loading issue. You have a horse that's afraid or not sweet on the trailer. So it would be a big step, would you agree, to just get the horse to walk up to that trailer comfortably, right? So for him, if he's going to get that committed to protesting being ridden, a first big step would be to not go, can Ryan get on him and walk, trot, canter in the first session and make everything happen? The goal would be to get him to find relief and want you to be on him, okay? Well, in order to do that, that means we're going to have to challenge him on the ground. So we're going to have to warm up strong to ride soft. So in this first session, also because I don't have a bridle that's functional right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to do some groundwork, pretty thorough. I'm going to try to, this is a bit of an investigation here to figure out what yields he's more inclined to say yes to and which ones he's inclined to say no to. And then set it up in a way where when he gets in a good frame of mind and gets really cooperative with some harder things, like maybe cantering or changing directions quickly, side passing, things like that, maybe that would be a good time for me to step on him and just sit there and pet him. And so we'll see if we can get to that point right now. I think it's as much about this horse needs a really strong leader. It's more that this horse has like a lot of different information and kind of baggage from the stories you told me about the previous owner and how they treated him and handled him. It sounded like they were sedating him a lot to get things done, that they were really fast, almost borderline aggressive with him, with getting things done, kind of making it happen. And then from what I've seen with you, you were on the a little bit too passive side with him, where you kind of tolerated a lot of his behaviors. And so I think he's just got a lot of confusions going on. I don't think he really wants to be in charge. He's just like, well, if I don't get a good leader, I'll just fill in that role myself, you know, which is a good thing because some horses are more committed to being dominant and being in charge. And when you sent me that email, not only did I see the video of him bucking hard, but you said he was aggressive, and I saw, you know, I focused on the bucking part a little bit more, and I didn't realize that really until today, that there's a lot of these other issues on the ground of him being difficult for the farrier, sometimes deciding to be hard to catch in the pasture. Like there's a lot of other issues that kind of come up along the way here. And so we're just going to take our time. We're just going to pack everything versus trying to jump right in and just make him do a bunch of stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about getting to his mind. Getting to his mind and helping him to find relief with the human. Especially the human on his back, hopefully. Boy, he's big. I don't think I realized how big he was till I'm standing next to him here. How tall is he?
He's like 17,
oh my goodness.
17.2 or something.
Jeepers. Hope I brought a big enough cinch for him. So when horses are afraid, yielding the hindquarters is a great strategy. When horses are being pushy, yielding their forequarters is a good strategy. So which yield did he have more trouble with?
The forequarter.
The forequarter.
Definitely.
So that indicates
always.
a little bit more left-brained, like caring a little bit more about who's in charge kind of thing.
Definitely.
So like if it's that hard to move his front end on the ground, that's what probably is going to feel like under saddle too.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like a lot of people, I'm still surprised at today's kind of day and age that people don't really understand how groundwork translates to riding. It's like, it's the same horse.
Yeah.
And yes, and I'm the same person if I'm going to be on his back, I'm just in a different location. But whatever he's showing me here on the ground is the same issues I'm going to have on his back.
Yeah. I mean, that's really why I haven't been riding him, because I don't have any of the groundwork stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you decided with how dangerous it was getting, you made a really good decision. It doesn't mean you're a chicken or you're a wimp or anything like that. You're smart.
Yeah.
Because that's a big horse to come off of if he decides to start bucking, which seemed like he was pretty inclined to think about doing that right off the bat. And you did the right thing. You reached out for help.
Yes.
So I'm just building in some tools, and I have all these things as a series on my fundamentals series on my Patreon page. And actually, fun thing that we're about to do is we're creating a pocket guide where all the videos are going to have a guide that you can fit in your pocket. So you go out to the arena, you can go through and remember the different exercises, and it has like tips and what to look for and problems that can come up and different things like that. And so I'm super excited to release that pretty soon here.
That sounds awesome.
But what I'm saying is I'm just building some communication here with, I'm not ready to ask him to change directions off a circle if I can't move his front end when I'm just, at a standstill.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get him to be a little more compliant with this. And now he's getting a little bit worried. I can see his lower lip has tightened a little bit. So we'll just let him walk here a little bit. And she said he does kick out quite a bit too if he gets bothered, so. Now, I find that interesting. When I asked him to trot, he trotted pretty readily there after just doing a few other yields. So can you see the trajectory of where this could go?
Yes.
By me just being, and I haven't beat him or hit him hard or something like that. I was persistent in a position that was hard for him to say no to for a little while until he stepped out of the way. And so I'm trying to convince you that it's not about being bigger, badder, tougher than them. No. It's just about finding things and yields to do and building a communication with them where they see you as the leader, but in a way that makes sense to them.
Totally.
Now see here, he's kind of drawing a line in the sand a little bit and saying, no, I'm not moving. And there he stepped off. And when you hit a moment like that, as soon as he steps off and yields, just leave him alone.
Okay.
I wanted to circle there, but because I wanted to be trotting to the left.
Yeah.
But that's where he was at. He was like, no, I'm not moving over this time. Like I just did that yield a few times over here, and that time he decided to get sticky about it. So there's the lick and chew, that's the release. That means he just found relief taking that step over. And had I just pushed him on to something else, I might have just missed that value there of him finding relief yielding over. Yeah. And so we'll just test that again one more time. But with a horse like this, it's very much, like see how much nicer that was? It's so much more about getting to his mind. It's not about how many repetitions I get his feet to do or things like that. It's about just him saying yes to pressure and finding relief. And let me just give you a quick analogy of this. Like, there's different qualities of response a horse can have. And an analogy that I like to give people is like, if you have say a child, say young Ryan is at home, and the garbage man comes on Thursday, and so mom wants me to have the garbage set out on Wednesday night, right? So she could come up to me and say, hey, we take the garbage out. I could say, fine, I'm gonna go take out the garbage. right? And I could do it kind of with some apprehension, some reluctancy. That would not be as good as me saying, yes, I'll go take it out. That would be a better response, right? A worse response, though, could be me saying no. I could just look at her and be like, no, I'm not taking the garbage out. That would be an opposition reflex, right?
Yes.
And so that's not going to go over very well, at least how I grew up. But neither of those, any of those, are not the best response possible. The best response possible is I knew the garbage man was coming on Wednesday or Thursday, so I went and took it out without being asked. I had responsibility for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so that's where we're going to ultimately try to get to. But right now with him, that last yield over was a little bit of a no, I don't want to. Before that, I just had a few like fines, like, okay, I'll move, but I don't really want to. And so I'm measuring those responses as we go. And until they improve to some yeses, we're not ready to get on yet.
Yeah, totally.
Now right here, I'm going to ask him to trot. But I want to show you a sequence that's going to be really important to understand with him. I'm going to ask him nicely, and that's the point. So there's a first cue.
Yeah.
Now I'm teaching him how I like to lunge horses. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the stick and string. The third is I'm going to swing it. And the fourth is I'm going to touch him. And if he doesn't go, I'm going to reset. I'm going to stop asking. If I were to continue to spank the ground like you were, I would be teaching him to wear the pressure. I would be desensitizing him to it, which means later on I'm going to have to do even more to get him to do it. Okay? But let's go ahead and set that up again. So I'm going to put him back out where he should have been. Okay? So I'm going to point, lift the stick, touch him, and reset. Now he was walking that time, so I'll reset back to the walk. I don't have to reset to the standstill. Point, lift, swing once, touch. Now that still doesn't count because I had to touch him.
Yeah.
I'm only going to accept this response or this pressure when I point, lift, swing, and he beats me to the touch. That's what we're going for. Okay? Point, lift, swing. There, he beat me to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, if he gets close enough that I can touch him with the stick, I'm going to, because I want him to respect my personal space bubble around here.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk him. If he's close enough I can touch him, he's probably close enough I could get kicked as well. And so when he steps off on the circle, I want him to get more comfortable with yielding away from me. And you can see where the string comes in handy because I can get out there and reach him. And you see who's moving their feet more, right? He's moving his feet a lot more than I'm moving my feet.
Yeah.
And he's very aware of that because horses care about that a lot more than people do. Some people don't like to move their feet very much, but now he's got kind of a quitting spot right there. And so I'm just going to work this side until we get past that little quitting spot. You see right there where he wants to shut down every time? So to me, when I touch him there with the string, it's a little more of a block. I'm saying you need to have a little more responsibility to keep going, have a little bit of work ethic there. There, he got past it, he gets relief.
Yeah.
So you can see wherever he's at, I just ask him to just get a little bit better from there.
Okay.
You can't jump all in and go from here to here really quickly. And that just requires reading the horse well. You know, just noticing those little attention to detail things. So normally it would not be too big of an ask for me to side pass him on the fence. But to be honest, for him, I think he would think over the fence pretty quickly because he's not looking to me for answers.
Yeah.
He doesn't really think I have answers.
Yeah.
He thinks he has to figure out what the answer is. And so until we develop that connection a little stronger where he's looking to me for the answer instead of his own devices, until that happens, we don't really have a partnership. We have him out here and me out here.
Totally.
But once he's connecting with me and really thinking through puzzles, then it's him and I out here together.
Yep.
And so I'm going to make this just a little bit simpler, and I'm going to ask him to widen out from a circle.
Okay.
This is exactly what I would do if I was riding him too. if I had a horse that didn't know how to side pass under saddle, this would be the first way that I would ask them to do it. Oh. So I'd have them on a circle here. And then I'm gonna crowd him a little bit. I'm gonna step into him with my stick, kind of like a ski pole. And I'm just looking for him to just step out there. And that was a good example there. He felt a lot of pressure, so he decided to try to kick. Mm-hmm. But my response to him kicking was different than your response.
Yes.
Did I get quieter or did I get bigger?
You got bigger.
I got bigger and I said, nope, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
You won't find relief for kicking out. Because the same place in his brain that kicks out under saddle that leads to you getting bucked off is where he went to there.
Okay.
So I just told him that kicking out or bucking, same thing, is a no-go zone. Mm-hmm. You're gonna run into pressure. But notice, we're not side passing right now. It's not about the side pass. Those are all the little things, the little yields we do to bring out some of these reactions that give us a chance to have that conversation of, actually, that's a no-go. You're gonna run into pressure from now on if you think about that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna wait for it to escalate to something really big. If you just go there mentally and you think about kicking out, you're gonna run into more pressure. And the relief is actually standing here being quiet.
Okay.
And then we'll start again.
Okay.
But if I don't find some of these things, if I don't challenge him at all on the ground, I don't have him any more prepared to ride than you did.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I have to find some things. I got to kind of poke the buttons a little bit here and see what's under the hood. Mm-hmm. Do you follow all that?
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
Now, the other thing is that people don't see when they watch my videos is I rarely have to get this big with my horses.
Yeah.
Because they never learn to push back into pressure to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? But when a horse has had some baggage and had some handling, not from you, but I really liked how you handled him. I thought you did a very good job. Like, you had a very good, just even keel attitude. You weren't afraid of him. You were calm, but you seemed like a good leader. But you weren't calling him out on it when he got naughty.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
He was just kind of you kind of tolerated it is the word I would use.
Yeah.
And so you were trying to just let time help him get better, but it was actually getting worse instead of better, because the more repetitions a horse has with that brain pattern, the stronger that connection becomes.
Totally.
Yep. And so that's where he needs us to sign him up to that a little bit and say, well, you can try that, but it's not going to go very well for you.
Okay.
See that? Little nice little sideways yield there. Mm-hmm. Now, sideways is a good one because sideways is hard.
Yeah.
Going forward is one of the most easy things a horse can do, and he was saying no to that.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course we're going to have challenges asking him to do something harder like side passing, which is exactly why I'm doing it.
Yes.
To be honest, a lot of times I like side passing horses because it helps them relax. He doesn't need to relax. He needs to say yes and move over. And that is just a harder thing than even just walking and trotting a circle under saddle. Maybe slightly a bit of a reaction, but not bad. Now I'm just going to ask him for some lateral flexion. So I bent it around to where he was kind of willing to go, and then I just held it, and then he pushed back into it. He's like, no, I'm not bending that far. So I'm not trying to go all the way to his rib cage. I'm just trying to find that spot where he says, I don't know if I can do it anymore, and just wait there and see if he can just say yes to trying for me. But this is going to be our recovery strategy on the ground. If he gets bothered, we're going to bend his head to the side.
Okay.
Because as you could see from the video, you pulling back on both reins didn't help a whole lot. Because you were pulling pretty good, but it wasn't getting him stopped. But you have a lot more advantage, a mechanical advantage, by bending the horse to the side. But the advantage comes more in the initial part before things really get rolling along, where he's really bucking hard. The idea of the one rein stop or bending him down is, as soon as you feel things starting to get a little bit western, go ahead and interrupting it right off the bat.
Well, I knew that, but I actually lost my reins.
Oh, no.
Like, so when I got on him, I had my reins, and then he bucked, and then I lost them. And then as soon as I gathered them again, so I like didn't really have a chance.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, do you see how pushy into the halter he is?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have much of a chance anyways. And at this point, I wouldn't have a chance either. Because I'm kind of holding this as hard as I can, and he's just pushing back into it.
Yeah.
There, he got soft off it. So that's part of why I'm introducing this early, because to me, there's kind of two parts to this first session here, this no saddle on and then saddle on.
Yeah.
And we're gonna review, this is one of the tools that I need is this yield. And so we're gonna, there we go. That was a really good try, so then he's done, leave him alone. So again, with this horse, when he gets good and he puts effort into your idea, he's done. You don't need to do it 5 more times.
Okay.
Leave it alone.
Okay.
Eventually, you can add some reps to it. But in this initial stage, we just got to say, "Atta boy, good job." Leave him be. So we'll go ahead and get him tacked up now. So, because we don't have a snaffle on him yet, I'm just going to release him to the mounting block, because that's where it seemed like he started giving you a little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
So after just doing anything that's a little bit more challenging,
Okay.
just going to bring him over here and just let him get relief. Now, I don't know if you could hear that.
Yeah.
He's blowing out, so he's going, just taking a big deep breath, which means he's getting relief right now. So he feels the best he's felt in this whole session right now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if he hadn't given you any trouble at the mounting block until you got on, then I would be like, oh, this doesn't really matter. But it did. He was already telling you, no, I don't want to be ridden today.
Yeah.
Where right now he's kind of like, okay, it's probably better than what all the groundwork we're doing. He's just taking, you know what I mean? He's just really letting out, taking a lot of deep breaths. So there's the first sign of some resistance. So I'm just going to make that uncomfortable. Because again, that is the thought that he goes to before it escalates. So if you can catch it there, then hopefully we don't have to try to fix it in a dangerous situation for us once we're on their back. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And again, once we get to here, I'll just go back to petting him. I just want him to see this as relief. This goes back to that example of a horse that needs trailer loading, but they won't get 20 feet within the trailer. It's like, it's not about getting that horse in the trailer. It's not about getting rode. It's about him getting relief the second we start thinking about riding versus being saddled, being on the mounting block here. All these steps build up to it. Because the problem didn't start when you were finally in the saddle. The problem started before that.
Yeah.
Now, I also am going to take that opportunity, because he was pretty good, to just go, hey, when you do that, you get relief. I just leave you alone, I'll walk away, there's no big deal. So it's like, I hope that people can see that I try to be equal parts of like black and white. It's like, yep, if you if you want to start something, okay, well, we'll go there and we can make that uncomfortable. But if you want to get on board with our idea and be relaxed, life is easy. So you can see I'm just moving him around, doing a lot of yields. And then I'm working my way back to the mounting block here. Just to sign him up to doing some harder things. Again, doing something that looks harder than you standing still and tolerating me monkeying around with the saddle here. And if I had a snaffle on him right now, I probably would get all the way on him.
Yeah.
But without a snaffle on, I know that like he can break in half as soon as your butt hits the saddle. And so I don't think I want to find out how that goes with a Halteron. But I'm trying to get as close as I can to just him getting relief here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'll do it this time, and then I'll probably do it one more time, and then we'll call it good for this session. And then I'm going to go to town and see if I can rustle up a snaffle bridle.
Okay.
Something that I'll have a little bit more control in if he does go to pitching on me. And then each time I do some groundwork, I'm going to attempt to show you a few different exercises you can add to your repertoire of things to do with him to warm up strong, to ride soft.
Okay.
I couldn't help myself. Better, huh? All right, so that gives us a good baseline of where we're at with things. And we're gonna come back and do it again.
Okay.
Well, what'd you think of that session?
It went really, really well.
Yeah, what'd you like about it?
That he actually like saw you as a leader and that he was listening to you, and I really liked when he like argued, you were like persistent but like soft at the same time. And I've been having a lot of trouble like finding that medium with him.
So you don't think I was too hard or abusive to him out here?
No,
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So even though I was firm with him when I needed to be firm, people need to understand that that's horse training.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not hiding things. This is what it takes for this horse. This is where we're at with him.
Yeah.
He needed a couple of corrections to say, no, don't do that. He needed a couple times for me to slow down and say, I understand you're afraid right there, and I'll be patient with you to get confident.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the overall theme is he needs to see you as the leader, and he needs to find relief getting ridden. So we need to do some harder things on the ground, set it up that way. And I think the next session is going to go even better. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Cut. Cut that out of the video.